sheeple, lazy and evil. For years I've watched y'all allow Donald Trump turn you to crazy people. Where's that freedom eagle when you...
Welcome to 3 Count Commentaries, in which we will be discussing the February 13th episode of AEW Dynamite. Now, there is not much in the way of news and notes on AEW this week. I think Tony Khan kind of blew his load with his whole bots commentary. Yikes. So I guess we just kind of have to go right into the show. If there's any AEW news and notes, let me know in the comments. I really haven't been following wrestling media lately. There's been nothing that has kind of caught my attention since WrestleMania. So if there's anything, please let me know. All right, so we're going to get into the first match. CM Punk versus Penta Oscuro. This match was fine. There was a botched spot in the match where I think they were doing a top rope arm drag and they botched it. They went to it later and actually did it from the other side, and it actually worked. So this match was fine. Two guys that I actually, I'm okay with. I like Penta Oscuro. I used to be a fan of CM Punk, not so much anymore. There was no storyline reason for this match to occur, and then there was nothing that occurred in the match that made sense, and the match after, the post-match was nothing, so there was no story going in, there was no story coming out. It was just a match for the sake of. I guess AEW likes to do this kind of stuff, and that's fine, but it's certainly going to get criticized for you to just have guys wrestling matches that mean nothing in the long term, just because, oh, hey, it's a cool match. It's kind of like, okay, well, there's a lot of cool matches you could have done, or you could have saved some time to do more story stuff. But this was honestly a solid show, with the exception of some really bad stuff. Oh boy, it was some really bad stuff on here. So the Jericho Appreciation Society, they make entrance on a plane, saying that's how real sports entertainers travel. They were then attacked by Kingston and his boys, who said it was on site. Try to take out the two members of 2.0. I might as well skip to this match right now. So Jericho Appreciation Society defeated Eddie Kingston, Santana, and Ortiz. It makes no sense for them to do so, but they did. Eddie Kingston wore a Junkyard Dog inspired shirt, which just says Thump, which used to be on the tights of the Junkyard Dog. They were in New Orleans, so it was an excellent little nod to the Junkyard Dog. I love the Junkyard Dog. I'm not going to take a shot at Eddie Kingston for wearing that shirt. I'm cool with it. I will take a shot at Eddie Kingston for agreeing to take the pinfall to Daniel Garcia. Look, it's just no amount of jobs that you do are going to give certain people talent or charisma. There might be something in Daniel Garcia. I don't know what it is, and I don't know where it is, because I don't see it in these matches. I just see a guy doing moves. Just because, I think Millennial Smart did this video, recently. I didn't listen to it because I agreed with it, and I was just kind of like, okay, I get it from the title. I was like, I get it, and I think I may have said that before. Just because you're a young guy doesn't mean you should get pushed. Some guys aren't young, and they're too young, and they shouldn't be getting pushed. Is Daniel Garcia one of those guys? I think so. He hasn't developed a look or a persona or a voice. So why are we giving him wins? If anything, he should be the one taking losses. He should be getting over by being in these matches, trying and failing, similar to Wheeler Yuta. Put him in these matches. He gets close, but he gets beat. I mean, he loses nothing by losing to Eddie Kingston. And Eddie Kingston and his group need to be solidified. Now, you can say, well, Jericho and his group also needs to be solidified because this is their first match together. Yes, but this is also Kingston's first match with Santana and Ortiz. It's like you booked yourself into a corner where neither team needed to lose. And then instead of booking a schmoz where maybe it's a disqualification or something like that, you book the babyface team to lose and then get beat up post-match. Look, I like opting for heat. That's fine. But you still could have done the post-match beatdown after Daniel Garcia got rolled up and pinned or something. You still could have had the post-match beatdown. Now, it would have been 50-50 booking it, or whatever the case may be, whatever you want to call it. But it certainly wouldn't have been you shitting on the guy that's probably the most over guy in the feud outside of Chris Jericho. I know you're supposed to be protecting Kingston. I know he's a 40-year-old guy and all that kind of stuff. I get it. But he's one of your top commodities in AEW. They shouldn't be so readily throwing him to the wolves, And they did this again later, but we'll talk about that when we get there. But the match itself was, it was what it was. I wasn't thrilled by it. I like the idea of Kingston with Santana and Ortiz more than I like the execution. It just seemed like guys who would hang out with each other, like they have a lot to talk about, that they would get along, share cigarettes and everything. They seem like very nice guys, or hood guys. They would get along together. So it looks like a proper unit. The Jericho Appreciation Society, I just don't care about these guys. It's a menagerie of losers like 2.0 and fucking what's his face. The big guy, Jack Swagger. He sucks. All right. The second match on the show was Red Dragon losing to Jurassic Express via the finisher Jurassic Express. People keep telling me to stop calling them Jurassic Express because that's not their name. But I don't care. That was their name. So they renamed them and I don't care. But Red Dragon loses. I was surprised by this. Mainly because I expected Red Dragon to, obviously I expected Red Dragon to win. I don't get the point of Red Dragon not becoming the tag team champions, but I think this was basically just telling everybody, hey, Adam Cole's going to bleed a lot and lose to Hangman Page. I think that's what this decisive victory, it was a pretty clean, decisive win for Jurassic Express. It pretty much tells you that Cole is not going to win either. So Kyle O'Reilly attacked Jurassic Express with a chair after the match. Then FTR came out to confront Red Dragon and essentially challenged them for a tag team title match by holding up the Ring of Honor and the AAA tag team belts. And that was great, except the fact that Red Dragon just lost to Jurassic Express. Why would you be challenging the losing team? They lost. Why do you want to fight the losers? Shouldn't you want to fight the winners? Wouldn't it be a better idea for you to say, you know what? We want those AEW World Tag Team titles too. I mean, let's do it. Like, what do you gain from beating Red Dragon again? I mean, what do Red Dragon gain from losing to these guys again? I don't know, man. But it is what it is. I'm not that thrilled. I was never really a huge fan of Red Dragon. I was kind of a fan of them before they went to NXT. But I think it was mostly Undisputed Era dust that was sprinkled all over them that made them seem so much better than they really were. They're great workers, don't get me wrong. They're really great wrestlers. But the personality is simply not there. The persona, the swagger, the charisma, none of that is present here. They just come across as two other indie guys. And that's fine. But I don't, it's fine for this audience. But I can definitely tell you a WWE audience, which I'm a member of, they don't see anything special about any of these guys, except maybe Jungle Boy, and that's a big maybe. The Blackpool Combat Club, they cut a promo. Apparently they're going to be fighting the Gun Club. And I don't know why. But Bryan Danielson is very excited for Wheeler Yuta joining the group, says that he spit in his face and he bled with Moxley and he got to respect the William Regal. He's going to go places. Moxley says that he hates the Gun Club. They're goofs. And it's exactly the kind of thing they've been trying to get rid of in AEW. And Wheeler Yuta said that the real work starts now. And I'm thinking Bryan Danielson is stealing a check. He is stealing these paychecks. I mean, he worked really hard at first. Those matches with Kenny Omega, those matches with Hangman, he was working really hard in those matches. But since he lost to Hangman, he's been coasting, baby. He's been stealing money. There's just no way I would book Bryan Danielson to be in a fucking 6-man with fucking Wheeler Yuta to wrestle Billy Gunn's fucking sons. I'm sorry. Not when my main event looks the way that it does. Not when, the TNT title looks the way that I wouldn't do that. But that's me. Whatever. I still like the Blackpool Combat Club. I like the concept. I like the idea. I just don't like Wheeler Yuta. He sticks out like a sore fucking thumb. It's like putting Gumby in there with the Power Rangers. It's ridiculous. So Jamie Hayter cut a promo at Toni Storm in which she just smiled and walked away. Look, I guess we got to stop calling Toni Storm the Paul Goddess because she's not nearly as thick as she was. She's still fine. Believe me, the girl's still fine. But she's not quite as thick as she was. She has changed a little bit. She's changed a bit. That thickness has kind of been worked off. I don't know. But Jamie Hayter basically says that there's similarities between the two of them because they both honed their craft in Japan. And just like Owen Hart and, Tony Khan says, oh, okay, well, we'll just book this match for the first round of the tournament. And I was just kind of sitting here like, okay, am I supposed to get excited about this? Because Toni Storm doesn't seem to care. She doesn't care enough to talk about it. She just agreed to show up and stare at Jamie Hayter, which makes no sense. I don't know. I don't get it. MJF lost to Shawn Dean by countout. Which took forever for us to get to. I mean, for Christ's sake, there was at least 3 times where MJF was outside the ring for 40 fucking seconds, 2 minutes or whatever. Like when he was, so the match went where MJF was being dominant, throwing Shawn Dean all over the place. And then we get footage of security killer Wardlow. And then MJF is outside the ring and he's posing, leaning against the barricade. This pose against the barricade is longer than 10 seconds. It's at least 20 to 25 seconds. Then we see Wardlow march from the crowd. He does the dramatic removal of the mask. Then he has to wait for MJF to turn around to have the revelation that he sees Wardlow. Now, they're outside the ring this whole time. And the referee apparently is not counting because they just continue to go. And MJF sees Wardlow, he flees. Wardlow chases him. Now they're outside the ring. Wardlow is beating up more security because he got distracted by Shawn Spears hitting him with a chair. And he no-sold it, which was, I think, the right thing to do. And he just starts to beat up security as MJF sends wave after wave after wave of security at him. They're all holding Wardlow in place. The referee is not counting. Because he would have been counted the guy out by this point. I mean, he was outside the ring for at least 2 minutes at this point. And now the ref starts to count once Wardlow is all caught up by the arms and legs by these walls of 40 security guards. MJF then grabs a microphone just as the referee gets to 9. And I'm guessing countout is 10, but I thought it was 20 in AEW because I thought they took New Japan rules. I don't know what the fuck countouts are. They don't use them. So MJF asks the referee and says, hey, whatever Tony Khan is paying you, I will triple it if you don't count me out right now. And the referee got cheered when he counted out MJF. So MJF loses via countout to Shawn Dean. Shawn Dean is undefeated against MJF. He keeps winning by fluke metrics like countouts and disqualifications and stuff like that. They're making this guy look like a complete goof. It is what it is. Later, MJF is pretty pissed. He says that he's the prodigy, he's the phenom of AEW, and that he doesn't need anybody's sympathy because he got money. And since he has a contract on Wardlow, he can book Wardlow against whomever he wants. And he says no more free paychecks for Wardlow. Instead, he's going to put that piggy to work, and he's going to put him against the Butcher. Dun, dun, dun. You had the whole roster at your disposal, and you chose the Butcher. The Butcher. The Butcher? That's what you came up with? Come on, brother. I know, look, every MJF feud is essentially the same feud. MJF runs away, then he throws his goonies at you. And his Goonie Goo-Goos are usually bums like the Butcher or Shawn Spears or whatever the hell. So yes, it makes sense that he would have, okay, you're going to wrestle somebody that's in my stable. But the Butcher? Come on. Who really cares about that? That reeks, bro. That sucks. That fucking sucks. I'm sorry. That sucks. I'm not interested in this at all. You know? I don't get this. This is stupid. All right, so we're going to move on. As a matter of fact, let's back up a bit. Because I did see somebody, I think the PWI guy, he says that even he admitted that Butcher versus Wardlow is a bit underwhelming. But then he, of course, put the little caveat that elsewhere they would have had Wardlow beat both members of the team at the same time. So I guess I should just, button my lip on this. And it's like, we love everything AEW, but it's okay. When we have a criticism, we have to say, okay, we're going to back off that criticism because WWE would do X, Y, and Z. It's like, no, it's okay to fucking criticize AEW. This fucking sucks. Nobody believes that the Butcher is going to beat Wardlow. The Butcher doesn't even have a reputation for being a literal butcher. If he was like Abdullah the Butcher and he was going to gouge, even if he wasn't going to win the match, but he was going to gouge Wardlow's eyeballs out, then I would be like, okay, the guy might, he might take a pinfall, but at least it's a bruiser. He's going to go in there and rip and shred at Wardlow. He's going to take a piece of him. He's going to do something bad to him. But I don't believe that this guy's going to do anything to Wardlow. He's just going to go in there and get powerbombed to death and then get embarrassed. So it's okay to just go ahead and criticize AEW. You don't have to put a caveat on it. You can criticize. It's okay. All right? You can criticize AEW. It's all right. For fuck's sake. And I'm going to continue criticizing AEW. So we get a Darby Allin mini movie where he's just, again, skating around a black and white scene, I'm guessing somewhere in Seattle. It looks very drab and sick and, whatever. And there's like a wedding thing playing in the background. I'm like, okay, I don't get that. What does that mean? And he says for Andrade, he wants to put an end to this thing. So he challenged Andrade to a coffin match, which I'm guessing is just sort of Darby Allin's match type. I don't get coffins and skateboards. I don't get that together in the same gimmick. I don't know how that works, but it's there. It's good for Andrade, I guess. I don't know. I don't care, man. I guess so. I guess it's all right. It'll be all right, right? All right. Malachi Black cut a promo on Fuego del Sol. I don't give a fuck what he's talking about. He's feuding with Fuego del Sol? You got Malachi Black feuding with Fuego del fucking Sol? Ay, papi, what are you doing? This guy has fallen off the fucking cliff. See, this is what we mean by everybody, all these people coming in. You can't possibly keep track of everybody. Malachi Black was supposedly the biggest loss WWE has had in a long, long time, as far as stars that could have been made. Since his feud with Cody Rhodes, he has done fuck all nothing in AEW. Now he's cutting 2-minute promos on Fuego del fucking Sol, a guy who ain't been on TV in 3 months or more. You gotta be kidding me, bro. You're fucking kidding me. You built this stable for this guy. You hired 2 other guys to hang out with this guy. And now you're going to have him feuding with Fuego del Sol? Oh. And I would hate to see who's on Fuego's side of this ordeal. Oh my God. Oh my God. This is ridiculous. This is absolutely ridiculous, bro. You think Undertaker would have spent 2 minutes talking about the Repo Man or cutting promos on local competitor A? No, I mean, what? Why isn't he feuding with top guys? What the fuck is going on here, man? Like, it's like AEW is like, it's like a showcase where the toys, there's some toys that are in the box that they're playing with. Other toys go on the shelf. They're like porcelain dolls. And it's like, I don't know if you guys ever heard that song. It was by Chrisette Michele, I'm not your porcelain doll. Essentially, she was saying, like, I'm tough. I can handle it. I don't need you to, put me on, treat me like a Barbie. I can handle things and let me do stuff. And it's like, this is how Tony Khan treats these wrestlers, where he doesn't want to beat Malachi Black a bunch of times or anything like that. So he just treats him like a porcelain doll. He'll just put him over here where he can get easy wins, but nobody cares. Like, nobody gives a shit about anything he's doing. And he's doing it on Dark Elevation or Rampage or whatever the fuck. Nobody cares. But he's not losing, so he's not broken. And there's no reason for him to be chipped or broken. He's over there where he's safe. And he's taken care of. And it's like, I'm sorry. You can't do that. These guys need to be in the mix. These guys need to be in the mix. Doing what? I'm not sure. But you're supposed to be doing something with this fucking guy. What the fuck did you hire him for? Just so you can look at him? Just so people can look at the fucking guy? He's not going to do anything? Oh, whatever, man. Like, that shit is shameful. It's absolutely shameful. The shamefulness continues in what is probably not just the worst match on this Dynamite, but the worst match likely in AEW history. And that covers a lot of ground. Marina Shafir versus Skye Blue. Now look, I'm going to give AEW some credit. Last week, I sat right here in this chair and said through this YouTube video that they needed to bring Marina Shafir to TV so that people can see what Jade Cargill is up against. Nobody has seen this broad. Nobody knows if she's good or not. You need to showcase her. That's what I said. I just didn't know she was this bad. It's that I didn't know she was this bad. I'm sorry. Tony Khan, don't listen to me. All right? Don't listen to my ass no more. If you knew, as you sat in that chair, that Marina Shafir was this bad, don't listen to me no more. Just keep doing what you're doing. Because you listen to me, and you put Marina Shafir out there, and she somehow magically has less charisma than her husband. She has less personality than anybody I've ever seen in a wrestling match. And she can't even do her shit with fluidity. Her stuff looks clunky. It was awful. It was awful. Skye Blue had to feed her the arm bar after it took Marina Shafir forever to roll her into it. They botched I don't know how many different moves. She moves like she's got stilts for legs and cinder blocks that, tied to her fucking ankles. She just has no fluidity at all. And this is one thing I said Ronda Rousey actually does have. She's pretty fluid because she has like those rubbery limbs. So she sells really well with like her legs and all that kind of stuff. Marina Shafir is really bad. She's really bad. And I see why now, they never did anything with her in NXT. She is just like a robot. She showed no personality. She showed no charisma. She showed nothing. She just came out and stood and stared. She didn't change her facial expression at all. I was like, ugh. And then this is the worst thing about all of this, is that Marina Shafir is being positioned as a heel because Skye Blue is a babyface. She's an underdog babyface. So Skye Blue, who is an underdog babyface, is fighting Marina Shafir. Marina Shafir is supposed to be a babyface against not Nyla Rose, goddammit. Jade Cargill, okay? So are we supposed to be booing Marina Shafir, or are we supposed to be cheering Marina Shafir? I guess it doesn't matter because she got no reaction whatsoever. I guess everybody's hands were full of popcorn and titties or whatever. Like, nobody said anything. They didn't clap. They didn't chant. They didn't do anything. Everybody just collectively took a nap. Like, 4-minute nap. Because the crowd was woke for the next segment. For the next real segment, the crowd was wide awake. But they went to fucking sleep right here. Marina Shafir is awful. Can we abort the Marina Shafir push before it occurs? Is it possible? She needs some more time. Let's give her some more time. Now, the story of this was Jade Cargill was texting during this match, so she wasn't really paying attention. She doesn't care about Marina Shafir. And to be quite honest, I should have been texting too. But the biggest reveal is that Kiera Hogan and Red Velvet are hanging out in Jade Cargill's baddie section, who was booing Marina Shafir. And they're saying that Red Velvet is having a change of personality over the last several weeks. Of course, I haven't seen that, but whatever. So considering Red Velvet and Jade Cargill are like mortal enemies, shouldn't we have a conversation about why they're friends now? Or why they're, at least, Red Velvet is okay taking seats with all of Jade Cargill's friends. Now, Kiera Hogan being there, I'm perfectly fine with that. Kiera Hogan needs something to do. I'm perfectly fine with her being there. Kiera Hogan and Jade Cargill working as a team or being friendly, I like that. I don't have a problem with that. My problem is with Red Velvet. Because Red Velvet and Jade Cargill have had such beef between the two of them. They have a history. And AEW is supposed to be a place that doesn't forget that history. So we should be having a sit down to why Red Velvet is hanging out with Jade Cargill's friends. Right? We should be plugging that hole together, So it is what it is. And I like the idea of Kiera Hogan and Red Velvet as a team. If they're going to be a tag team or something like that, I like that too. I don't have a problem with that either. My issue is purely Jade Cargill and Red Velvet were trying to kill each other, and now they're friends. What happened? What happened there? Somebody tell me something, But Marina Shafir, she's awful. She's bad. Speaking of bad, Hook comes out there and he's about to get interviewed. But instead he gets interrupted by Toni Nese. Toni Nese says that Hook, of course you want to interview somebody who never worked for their success instead of me, the hottest free agent in AEW history. I mean, I can't believe they're telling this lie. This is about as big a lie as the greatest wrestling match ever. There's Toni Nese running around talking about he's the hottest free agent. Like, dude, nobody even remembered when you were the free agent. How were you ever hot? And you've been signed for months and nobody cared. I mean, come on. Come on, brother. Come on, brother. All right, Ethan Page made fun of Sammy Guevara for begging for a TNT title match. Dan Lambert reminded us all that there was supposed to be a mixed tag match that Ty Conti wanted that included Paige Van Zant. But I ain't seen Paige Van Zant in weeks. And I guess they dropped the mixed tag match, but Lambert still referenced it. They will be wrestling on Battle of the Belts. It would be Sammy Guevara and Scorpio Sky for the TNT title. They ran down the Battle of the Belts card. The only other match that was worth, I guess it's going to be Thunder Rosa and Nyla Rose. And then there's going to be Jonathan Gresham versus Dalton Castle. Now, I'm a big fan of Dalton Castle. He's not the wrestler that he used to be, but I think Dalton Castle has an incredible personality. I think I made a video, one of the few times I've told WWE needs to sign somebody, and Dalton Castle was that guy. The flamboyant, yes, homosexual nature of the Dalton Castle character works. It just fucking works. Him and his boys. It works. It will either get heat or it will get over, but you can't ignore it. He has actual charisma and he can speak. I wanted him to be sort of a manager for somebody. But I guess he intends to keep wrestling, and I guess he's going to continue to work for Ring of Honor. And I don't have a problem with that. But not having the AEW world title on Battle of the Belts seems a little weird to me. We're going to have the Ring of Honor world title on Battle of the Belts, but not the AEW world title? This is like as weird as when they did the old, what was that belt they put on the line? The FTW title? It's the same family of networks, dog. I mean, I guess he wanted to build up Rampage, and Rampage is going to be live. I guess he cares more about Rampage than Battle of the Belts. I mean, if that's the case, well, I guess it's all TNT, so do they really care? I don't know. It's hard for me to tell. But ultimately, Battle of the Belts looks like a completely skippable show. I still will watch it, but it looks skippable as fuck. Because I don't really care about the outcome of any of these matches. And plus, two of them, at least I know the absolute outcomes of the women's title match. There's no way Thunder Rosa is going to lose in her first title defense. And I don't believe that Dalton Castle will defeat Jonathan Gresham either. I don't believe that either because, AEW is dogging out Ring of Honor originals. They're shitting all over them. So I don't see Dalton Castle getting over on, but the TNT title match is at least Because Scorpio Sky is such a weak champion, and yes, he's a weak champion. I don't care what you say. It's possible that Sammy Guevara could win the title back, even though I don't think it's likely. So there that go. So now I guess we can talk about these last little bits here. Let's flip over. So we got Black Lives Matter, the match, where we got 4 black guys, black referee. I'm surprised we didn't have a black commentator, and I'm surprised that there was not Black Rain or Black Power Fist that floated through the screen as we were watching this, so to make sure that everybody knows that these guys are all black. Everybody's black, just so you know. This is the blackest match in all of AEW history. Black, black, blackity black. It's all black. There was even rap. There was some rap for you. So everybody got what they wanted. All black everything. Powerhouse Hobbs and Ricky Starks defeat Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee. So this match was fun. I thoroughly enjoyed this match. And they corrected another thing that I was talking about the previous week, which is, why isn't Keith Lee and Swerve Strickland or Powerhouse Hobbs or Ricky Starks on this show? They corrected that by putting them on this show. Thank you, Tony Khan. I appreciate you, TK. You did a good job. I guess you snorted the right stuff this week. You know, you stopped fucking with that brown and you started snorting whatever good stuff it was, because you actually put a good match featuring good talent on this fucking show. Now, you did botch it a little bit. You did botch the finish a little bit. You know, Keith Lee being the guy to take the pinfall. I'm not sure I would have done that. I'm not sure I would have done that. Just like I talked about earlier, when it comes to Eddie Kingston taking the loss to Daniel Garcia, I'm not entirely sure I would have had Keith Lee lose to Powerhouse Hobbs. Now, yes, Hobbs needs to actually win matches to gain credibility. That is true. Yes, it's true that Hobbs already lost to Keith Lee. That's another reason why you probably shouldn't do it, because it's 50-50 booking. But Keith Lee is too new to AEW. You know, like, he's very new. And we're gonna just beat him? I don't know, man. I don't know. Like, I love the match. I love the idea. Somebody's got to lose. So I can't complain too much. Somebody's got to take a pinfall here. You know, I mean, it just, somebody has to. But I think that if you look at the 2 guys who are going to be taking the loss, you have to say which of these 2 guys does not have the biggest upside. And I think that if you look at the 2 guys who don't have the biggest upside, Swerve doesn't have the biggest upside. Swerve is, you know, probably, but AEW, they're different, you know, in so much as they probably value the smaller guys a lot more than the bigger guys. And Swerve wouldn't have lost too much by getting beat here. But it's different for Keith Lee. He's a powerhouse wrestler with some agility attributes. You can't have the powerhouse wrestler be overpowered. You know, I know they cheated. They did cheat. So I guess they tried to cover it up by having, you know, Hobbs and Starks cheat because Taz came out there and pulled the leg. I still don't like that Keith Lee took the pin, but I'll accept it because the match itself was very good. There was obviously a lot of let's lay and pray, you know, where you sit and you wait for a guy to do something. They've been doing that all night, by the way. That's like almost every Jurassic Express match, the Marina Shafir match, where guys just waiting for guys to jump on them, fall on them, or whatever. In this match, what took me out of the match momentarily, Keith Lee was laying down. He's face down, you know, back down, face up. Starks does something to him, jumps on top of him. 1, 2, he kicks out, and he's holding Starks on top of him. So Starks is squirming or whatever. So that Swerve Strickland could do a 450 and smush Starks in between the 2 of them. I understand that in theory. But in practice, you just 450'd your own partner. Right? That makes no sense. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? See, this is where we get where wrestling gets too far away from psychology. And it's like the whole idea of I'm hitting my own partner. You know? At some point, you have to be smart and say, like, no, there would not be a situation in which I would be throwing punches and I just hit my own partner. No, there's no situation in which I will want my partner to splash me, in this way. No, I would not want to take my partner's 450 splash. No, I would not want to stand in a crowd where my partner jumped off the top rope and fall on me. No, I would not want to do that. Psychologically, you wouldn't do it. That would be like if you were in the middle of a fight and it's a big brawl and you just punch your own friend, like, boom, like, why? Why would you do that? I'm fired up. It is what it is. We're in the middle of a gunfight in the middle of Vietnam or whatever. I'm just, going full Rambo. I'm just going to go full all the way around and start shooting at my own guys because I'm just so fired up. I don't know what to do. I'm just going to fire, friendly fire. I'm just going to start beating up everybody. This just makes no fucking sense. It's stupid. Stop doing this. It's WWE, it's AEW, it's everywhere. Stop doing this shit. This is so dumb. Beating up your own partner shit. But the match itself was fine. I don't really have too much complaints other than it takes too long to set up these fucking spots. So maybe we should chill out with the fucking spots. Now, I think Swerve did a moonsault off of Keith Lee's chest, which is pretty crazy. Thunder Rosa got a cake from Nyla Rose and Vicky Guerrero, so you know what was up with that cake. That cake went into Nyla Rose's face. This led to a fight scene where Nyla Rose completely decimates Thunder Rosa, and I couldn't have cared less. The main event, no. You gotta talk about the vignette. Adam Cole and Hangman Page had a vignette for their big finish. The Texas death match between the two of them that's going to be taking place at Battle of the Belts. Cole says he wants to wake up in the morning, look in the mirror and say that the champ is here, baby. And I'm still not buying this as a main event feud. I just don't buy it. It's two unathletic looking guys. Now, Heyman at least feels like he might work out sometimes. Adam Cole, I don't see it. I don't get it. It's like, it doesn't feel worthy to me. The match will be great, no doubt. I'm probably going to have fun with it. Probably going to be bloody and all that shit. But I don't care about these two guys anymore. I'm kind of over it, if we're being honest. But one last hurrah. Let's go for it. Speaking of not caring, I absolutely do not give a fuck about Minoru Suzuki. I've been watching a lot of New Japan. I watch a lot of New Japan. Not as much as some people, but I watch New Japan. Minoru Suzuki and Stone Pitbull Tomohiro Ishii are two of the most boring motherfuckers. Like, for everybody who claimed that wrestling is boring and it's stupid, Minoru Suzuki matches are fucking boring. Tomohiro Ishii matches are fucking boring. These dudes will literally forearm and chop for 10 fucking minutes. And you just be like, oh my God. And all these marks who run around act like this is the greatest shit of all time. It's like, bro, are you fucking serious? I would rather watch. You could have filled the time of Minoru Suzuki and Samoa Joe chopping each other. You could have filled that with R-Truth 24/7 shenanigans, and I probably would have had more fun with it. I have no fucking interest in these guys just standing flat-footed in the ring, chopping each other in the chest. Back and forth, 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 back and forth. This is every fucking Minoru Suzuki match. Every single fucking one. Same thing with Tomohiro Ishii. Elbow, back and forth, 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 back and forth. And you're like, what the fuck am I looking at here? Am I watching a GIF? Or is this a fucking match? What the fuck is going on? I guess somebody threw in an arm bar at some point in this motherfucking match to break up the monotony. I'm sure somebody did an arm bar. I'm sure somebody else did an arm bar too. But it was mostly just, I lost so much interest once they started chopping each other. I was just kind of like, bro, I knew he was going to do this because Samoa Joe is limited. Minoru Suzuki is 60 or he's over 60, isn't he? Maybe, I think he might just be 60. And I might be rounding up. He might be in his mid 50s or something like that. I get it. You're asking for too much from a guy who is in his mid 50s. I get it. But that's why you don't fucking book him. That's why you don't put the fucking belts on this guy. That's why you don't book this fucking guy. He's very, very fucking limited. Hey, people talk about how, and I said it with WrestleMania. What made the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match the shits is that Brock refuses to do anything other than German suplex people. That's all he intends to do is German suplex you. That's it. He's not doing anything else. Not a vertical suplex, not a takedown. He might throw a punch or two. He might throw a kick. But you think he's going to body slam anybody just for variety? No. It's German suplex all the fucking time, and everybody's kind of like, I'm sick of it. How many fucking German suplexes could I possibly fucking watch? And you get to a point where you just kind of like, I don't want to see another fucking German suplex again. That's kind of how I see Minoru Suzuki matches. I don't ever want to see another motherfucking chop again. I do not care about how red their chest was after the match. I don't give a fuck. That ain't what wrestling is. Them two guys just standing in a circle chopping each other in the chest is not interesting to me. After a certain amount of time, you just look fucking stupid doing it. I don't care. It's about how tough they are. It's to show the toughness. I don't give a fuck. Once you've taken 3 or 4 of those chops, I guess you can take 5 or 6. For fuck's sake, let's end this already. Do something. Do something else. Anything else. Tap dance. Cartwheel. Do something. I'm sick of watching these motherfuckers chop each other in the chest. That shit boring. This was a boring fucking match. And I'm supposed to act like, oh, this is a great match. They're badasses. They're fucking idiots. They chopped each other into hamburger. For what? For fucking what? The match still came across like shit. Samoa Joe wins with the muscle buster. Now, so Jay Lethal was outside the ring cheering for Samoa Joe the whole time. Which is, continuing the story from the previous week where Jay Lethal calls Samoa Joe the Samoan gold digger because he doesn't answer his phone calls. And he's been trying to contact his mentor. So after Samoa Joe wins the Ring of Honor television title in a completely unpredictable match, which if you could have predicted this match when it occurred, they're just going to chop each other. At one point, Samoa Joe's going to hit the muscle buster and win. And that's exactly what happened. They had a box, and Sanjay Dutt opened the box, and in the box was Jay Lethal's middle finger. And I just instantly just put my head in my hands. I'm like, oh my God. And then they had an overrun, which means that they had more time put on this show. And they had limited commercials too. So another very expensive episode of Dynamite. Because it featured Jericho, Punk, a lot of very expensive. So Jay Lethal flipped off Samoa Joe and he was being real cute with that. And then the lights go out. And I'm thinking, okay, this is about to be Cesaro, Claudio Castagnoli, whatever. They're going to bring him in to beat up Samoa Joe. Everybody's going to be very happy to see him. I'm going to be like, okay, he fits right in because they're just signing all the 40-year-old Ring of Honor guys. He's going to fit right in. The lights come on and it's some guy. It's just a guy. He's a big guy, but he's just a guy. They say his name is Satnam Singh. He's a former NBA player from India. And he's been training with Sanjay Dutt. And I just was like, oh my word. Oh my God. Oh my God. That crowd was absolutely mortified by this thing. That guy not only did he get no reaction, he got a "Who are you" chant. And people actively looked at that and was like, oh. It's like, why would Tony Khan do this? Why would Tony Khan do this? Why would he do this? This was not necessary. None of this is necessary. All right? It's not. God, with the fucking surprises and the secret announcements and all this shit. Look, man. All you had to do is when you got Sanjay Dutt cornered, when Samoa Joe got Sanjay Dutt cornered after he done bumped Jay Lethal, he grabs Sanjay Dutt by the collar. Maybe then you have the big man come out of the crowd or something like that to fight Samoa Joe off. And then we learn that, oh yes, this is the guy who is a Sanjay Dutt's student. But this turning the lights off, leading everybody to believe it's some big deal, only for it to be some guy nobody's ever heard of, in a situation nobody wants him in a situation that doesn't really make sense for him to be there. We all collectively took a shit on this. And yes, I saw a lot of the AEW faithful trying to turn it around. I literally saw, and I probably shouldn't have looked, people say like, oh, this is such a WWE thing to do, to bring the big guy out there, because clearly everybody wants to see the big guy. I'm like, wait a minute, stop, don't denigrate him just because he's big. The reaction came because nobody knows who he is. You know, like the fact that he's huge is beneficial to him because he could be something good. We don't know that he's good or not. The reaction came from Tony Khan turning the lights off and building it up as if it was a huge deal, only for it to be a guy nobody knows. If he had done this in a completely different way, if he had built it up and says that, you know, Sanjay Dutt's going to bring his star pupil to deal with Samoa Joe. If he's going to be Sanjay Dutt's bodyguard because Samoa Joe's trying to beat up Sanjay Dutt, it probably would have been different. But because you treated it like it was going to be a big surprise and it ended up being this fucking guy, the greatest emotion that came out of it was disappointment. Let's not be talking about the guy's big and that's all they care about. We don't know if the guy's any good or not. We need to stop just thinking that just because the guy is big, that all of a sudden he can't work. You know? Now, him being a freak of nature and just being just freakishly large, you can't teach freakishly large. Right? And wrestling still has a lot of those circus elements to it. Where, yes, we do want to see the freaks. We want to see the bearded lady and the elephant man, the guy with the Dumbo ears and the guy who wants to swallow swords. Yes, I want to see all of that. Bring it on here. I want to see the real wrestling too, the Billy Robinson arm drags and all that. Yes, that's all nice and good. I also want to see magicians, guys who pretending to cut other people in half. There's the elements to that I want to see too. And I do want to see the freaks. I do want to see, if you could find an Andre the Giant type motherfucker and you want to bring him in, I'm all for it. But you have to be able to do things the right way. And Tony Khan didn't do it the right way. He got people's hopes up. Even though he didn't, it was a surprise, so you shouldn't have got your hopes up. But he got some people's hopes up and thinking it was going to be somebody they actually like. And it ended up being somebody they didn't even know. And yes, people shit on it. But I'm not going to, I don't know how old the guy is. I don't know that much about him. I'm not going to shit on him just for existing. I'm just going to shit on him for just being there and putting him in this position. This is Tony Khan's fault. That's not the fault of the guy. The guy's just doing his fucking job. His job is to be the big monster heel who's going to beat up on Samoa Joe. Okay. He's believable in that role. Why was he wearing a suit? I don't know. I guess that's the only clothes he had. But I don't know. But he didn't look particularly terrible. He didn't look particularly great either. He wasn't lumbering like, the great Khali, but he wasn't exactly the most fluid guy in the world either. So he's just like giant guy, and he clearly needs some seasoning. He clearly needs some work, but there's no crime in being a big dude who's kind of green and needs some work. There's no crime against that. The problem is the way that his booker put him in this position and made him look like a fucking idiot and got everybody to shit on him. And then had Samoa Joe, who everybody cares about, selling for him and bumping for him, and nobody cares. That's the booker's fault. That's not on the talent. Just the guy is big. He brings his own unique skill set to being his size. You need that skill set, by the way. You need to be able to bring in all sides and all sizes. Yes, you need giants sometimes because people need to have different kinds of fucking matches. The match that Samoa Joe just had with Minoru Suzuki is going to be different from the match he's going to have with this guy. And that's interesting to me, at least. But you have to make the guy fucking interesting. They did nothing to make him interesting. We didn't even know who the fucking guy was. And then Excalibur, of course, is blabbering on commentary about the fucking guy. That's not helping because the people in the fucking arena don't know who you're talking about. the goddamn commentary doesn't reverberate through the arena. Nobody knows who the fuck you're talking about. He's just a guy in the ring beating up on Samoa Joe. And look, man, it's embarrassing. I would be embarrassed if I was him. I would be embarrassed if Tony Khan put me in that situation. I would. You know, he can't help it. He can't help who he is and what he is. And there is going to be some value for him to be a giant, but AEW probably not going to be the right place for him. There's nobody on the roster his size for him to work with. And then Tony Khan has no experience booking people his size. I mean, he literally just had the biggest dude in his company next to this dude was Keith Lee take a pinfall and lost in this fucking show. He's got Malachi Black feuding with Fuego del Sol. I don't know, man. Like, is Tony Khan doing this to himself at this point? He's got all the toys in the world. He's got it all. He's got pretty much he's got a lot of major WWF stars for the last 15, 20 years. He's got the lapsed CM Punk. Bryan Danielson stepped straight off of a big main event feud with Roman Reigns right into AEW. He's got Jon Moxley, who WWE pushed as a champion. He feuded with Brock Lesnar. He's a member of the Shield, which they said is one of the greatest stables of all time, according to WWE. They've got him. The Hardy Boys, who WWE fans will say is one of the greatest tag teams of all time, they got him. They got some of the best, brightest young stars in Darby Allin and MJF. They got all kinds of shit going for them. And they use them like shit. Some of the newest talent that WWE brought in that had so much potential, like Keith Lee and Malachi Black and Andrade, they got those guys. Rusev, or they call Miro. Nothing. These guys are not in the mix. They're not in the conversation. They're not really featured. And we're just standing around watching the same fucking people win every week. Whatever, man. Look, but at some point, you have to realize that the weakest thing about AEW is no doubt Tony Khan. Maybe for a long time it was the roster. I can't even say it's the roster anymore. It's Tony Khan. Because now he's got all the toys in the world, but he doesn't know what to do with them. Outside of putting people in 6-man tags and awkward tag team matches, what is he going to do? He's going to have a bullshit tables match, a bullshit no holds barred match, so everybody can bleed, you know, and he's going to shit in the middle of the show. Every single fucking week, Dynamite seems to be okay. And then we hit the 9 o'clock hour and the show starts to drag, you know, and it gets worse progressively as the show goes on. And this show got really bad near the end. Now, this show lasted solid longer than most other shows because it had the tag team match that was on there on the second half of the show. So this match stayed fresh for a little bit longer than usual. But I'm telling you, they need to replace Tony Khan. He needs to fire himself. You know, he needs to hire somebody who knows what the fuck they're doing, who can actually bring character and personality and story to this show. You know, not just matches that are long and we're going to avoid commercials and all that kind of, nah, that's all a gimmick. The real problem is that Tony Khan does not know what the fuck he's doing. And you can look at the show he put on. But I guess I'm a bot, so it doesn't matter. I'm a bot. Beep, bot, boop. Like, share, and subscribe. I'll talk to you guys later.
Tell me what's worse than learning all that you led to believe was all horse crap. They just